An ass, having heard some grasshoppers chirping, was highly enchanted, and desiring to possess the same charms of melody, demanded what sort of food they lived on to give them such beautiful voices. They replied, "The dew." The ass resolved that he would live only upon dew, and in a short time died of hunger. This is folk tales for grown folks. That was The Ass and the Grasshopper from Aesop Fables, the complete and original translations from Greek, translated by George Fowler Thompson. I am Brother Hatim. This is Giami Journey Radio, Heart of Simba Productions. And man, once again, as I say, every time I hit one of these, almost every time, these folk tales are not just for kids. Now, we have an ass. An ass. For some of y'all that are not mature enough to handle that word, an ass is basically a donkey. It's of the horse family, but it's not quite as big as a horse, and it's a little bit bigger than a donkey, and it has a reputation for being very stubborn. And this ass, which also is a word that is often used to describe those that don't listen and are very disrespectful and very stubborn. Okay? This ass heard the grasshopper singing. And in hearing the grasshopper singing, he wanted to know how they got such beautiful voices. Now, check this out. Check this out. The ass wanted to know how they got such beautiful voices. So he asked them, and they tell him that it's because of the food they consume. What? My fault. Designed to possess the same charms and melody, demanded what sort of food they lived on to give them such beautiful voices. So he automatically, being an ass, automatically assumed that he knew what gave them the voices. Let's be clear. I mean, listen, I know I did this one before. I just can't find it. Now, let me backtrack a little bit. I'm redoing this one because one of the listeners, Brother Robe, who actually did a show, let's give it up for Brother Robe, who did a show, wanted me to he asked me about this one, but I couldn't find it in my library. But I know I did this one because this one is one of the ones that made me want to go through all the Aesop fables. First off, this ass assumed the word ass is in assume. He assumed that it was the food that made the grasshoppers' voices sound good. And he demanded, he didn't ask them. He demanded what food, not how you sing, not can you give me lessons, but what food do you consume in order to have such a beautiful voice? And they tell him to do. Now, what does the ass do? The ass go right out and start consuming the dew. An ass is not designed to live off dew. This ass was such an ass that he did not even consider the fact that he should eat the grass that the dew was on. No, he went to a strict diet of dew. Not Mountain Dew, the little water dew that's on your shoes as you're walking towards your car early in the morning. If you ain't balling and got a garage like some of y'all out there, all right? I ain't got a garage, so I have to walk through the grass to get to my car, all right? So I got dew on. I won't try to live on the dew. But the point that I'm trying to make is, first off, the ass assumed that he already had the answer. Second, he turned and started doing something that he was not designed to do. And in the end, he lost his life. He or she lost his life. The question I have is, how many of us are being that ass right now? How many of us have assumed that we understand, that we know, have assumed that our beliefs are true, have started consuming something? And I want you to understand, when I say consume, I don't just mean consuming far as eating, because remember, I deal with the human being in Giame. We deal with the human being on 5 levels: intuition, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. Now I'm going to ask this: how many of us have started consuming something, or how many of us consume things on all 5 of those levels that does not sustain us because it was not designed for us, or it has been designed just to bring us up to our downfall? And lastly, how many of us are stubborn enough to keep on doing those same 2 things over and over again? Assume and consume. Wow. Assume. I might have to look that up. Assume and then consume. And in the consumption, it does not provide us with the nutrients that we need to survive. We die. All right? So, I want you to get the lesson from the Ass and the Grasshopper. For those that's trying to keep up with me, that's on page 20. I don't know how I skipped it, but I know I did this one. I just got to find it. I might have did it on Giame Journey and never went back and checked it, but it wasn't in my library. So I wanted to do that one again. I want to send out shots to Brother Robe. This is Brother Hatim. This is Folk Tales for Grown Folks. We are on Giame Journey Radio. Heart of a Simba production. And I am out.